Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. This is Nadine. We have another great episode for you. I have Teresa Carnegie. I hope I said your name right.
You
I
did,
did.
thank you.
Okay, good. So, I wanted to mention with Keep Hope Alive, we are in season 8, and it's people like you who come and watch the show and learn from the show. We keep getting great guest speakers, and it's just amazing. So, I want to thank all the people who watch our show to make keeping hope alive a real thing, which is amazing. So, but before we get started, I always have to ask this question. All right, Teresa, how many weddings have you been to in the past 15 years?
Wow. Uh, Shockingly not a lot. I think four, five.
Four or five? Okay. So,
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
when you go into the ceremony part and you're walking through the doors, what is a thing that people like usually sign?
The guest book.
Very good. Okay.
Okay.
No more hard questions.
Okay. Whew.
Somebody
Yeah.
actually answered the other podcast their life away, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's so funny. I was like, yeah,
Oh, that's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not how it's going to work for our sponsor. But anyways, lifeonrecord.com is Keep Hope Alive's main sponsor. And what they do, they take away basically the whole guest book idea, and they have a rotary vintage phone they put there. So the guests can
Oh,
come up, pick it up, leave a message, and it could be 1 minute, 5 minute, 30 minutes, but I'm going to tell you, don't do 30 minutes. That's going to be a long message. And, leave them a sweet little message. Wow, congratulations. You're both wonderful people. Or, hey, dude, it was about time. You finally popped the question. You can leave whatever you message you want with them, but they do have a QR code next to the phone. So the other guests can take out their mobile phones, scan it, and then they can call then on their phone and leave a message to, or even after the ceremony as well. So once all of those get collected, they will burn it onto, I believe it's a 12-inch vinyl records, or they have this cute little boom box. It's really cute. And it's a collection of people's voices saying congratulations. I think that
that
is
is cool.
clever.
That
So
is.
they get this phone number for 1 year, which is really cool. The plans only start at $99, but this phone is so cool looking too. People are like, don't you have the phone? I go, I'm trying to get a sample of the phone, but it's very vintage and I love it. They're one of the first companies that started this whole process, but you can find them at www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. So, Teresa, let's get started.
Woohoo. Okay.
Who are you and what made you you and where you are today? We're just going to dive in and have fun. I'm going to ask you all these random questions, and you're going to be like, what? No, I'm kidding. But you've done a lot. So let's have fun with this. So, who are you?
Sounds good. I don't know. Who am I? That's such an existential question, isn't it? I can tell you that I am a different person now than I was maybe 15 years ago. Um,
Gotcha.
10, just over 10 years ago. And it's so I don't know if we really, again, I'm going to get all philosophical and dig in there on that for you, that whether you like it or not.
Okay.
But
I told you
I
we're going to
mean,
have fun.
yeah. I look at it as I was who I thought I was supposed to be based on society and society norms. And something happened in a bunch of stuff happened in my life, and I could have, stuck down, and I headed into depression, and I could have stayed there, and instead I decided to go with the silver lining and change my life and just ignore everybody's telling me what I needed to do and do what was right for me. And it changed my life. It changed how I look after myself. It changed how I think of myself. It changed I put myself first now. I put my health first now. Almost all my decisions are based on how is this going to affect my health. And, and it changed my career. I was spent my whole life being told I wasn't creative. Now I do books, I write books, and I self-publish and help other people self-publish. Like it's not something I ever thought I would have done. And I love it. Like just the fact that I would have preferred a different, less dramatic way of, less painful way of realizing I needed to change my life. But I'm happy that I had that opportunity and got to change. I am so much happier with my life now. Um, because I never thought I was that person following and doing what I needed to do because other people, to fit in. And in a way I didn't, but in a way I did. And, it it's the little things that you don't recognize that you're doing. It's not the big things. Like, no, I didn't wear the same clothes as everybody else because I didn't care. I didn't want to look like everybody else. But it was the little things that I was doing and ignoring my like my who I am, so that I could be and fit in with everybody else in society, right? So yeah, there's my little who am I? I don't know, I'm me. I'm somebody who thinks of her health, and I'm somebody who speaks out, and I'm somebody who's very loud and opinionated, and but I'm
We're
also
gonna get
somebody who
along
has a
just
lot of
great.
empathy. I also have like a lot of empathy and understanding, and I love hearing different perspectives and opinions, and um, it helps me see different sides of things that I never would know, because everybody experiences life differently, and I love that, and I want to hear about that. So
You're going to
yeah,
listen to all my podcasts
yeah,
because I'm going to
yeah.
tell you, every single guest who has been on my show, I have learned something new. And then
Nice.
it was funny. It was like a look back of 2023 and your top five shows that went out. And I thought, okay, well, one of them is a guy named Jesse Miller, who's a TikTok person, and we were talking about narcissist and
Mm,
loving after you've been through all that stuff. So, and I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Another one I had, I love her. She's amazing. But she's been in contact with aliens for 30 years, and she's on the
oh,
top
okay.
of the list too. So she has a
Wow.
podcast. But it was
Wow.
like all these ones. But I'm learning. I have authors that will come on here, life coaches, health, and I call them dog whisperer, and hypnot hypnotherapy person. And I was just like, oh, that will never work. And
It
he sent
does.
me the links, and I love this because I'm kind of like, no, that can't work. I have to take Ambien to fall asleep, blah blah blah. But I put it on to our Facebook page for Keep Hope. He has two of them, and he starts it out. Don't listen to this if you're driving an automobile. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I'm not driving. I'm in my bed with my AirPods, but I fell asleep and I
Mm.
fell asleep good. But the only thing that happened, I don't know if it was the next video just automatically came on and it was
Uh,
loud and it said, do
oh,
not drive. And I woke up and I'm like,
oh no.
am I driving?
Oh no. Yeah,
But
you might
no.
want to just play one at a time somehow.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I need to play one at a time and just let me fall asleep. But
Yes.
I was like,
Oh, I'm
but
glad
it
you had
was,
that experience. That's great. And it worked. It gave you a good sleep. That's a great experience to have.
uh, yeah. And Ambien is not so fun at times. I mean, you sleep good, but you don't know what you're doing in your sleep. So that's a whole
Okay.
nother podcast. But anyways, yeah. So, um, what is something we don't know about you? And that's a good question.
I
So,
feel like I'm such an open book. But you know what? It's not everybody knows everything, right? So,
yes.
um, what is something? It's a completely weird piece of, here's something really weird. It's really weird. I love really weird things. So I'm going to share a really weird piece of who something about me. I hate wooden spoons.
Oh no, did you get spanked?
Yeah, well, partly, yeah, but I don't like the texture of them, so I can't use them. I can't
Oh,
use anything wooden. Even as a child, you'd get those little ice cream packs with the wooden spoon in there, and and I couldn't eat with the wooden spoon. It was like, yeah. So
yeah.
I don't like the texture of it.
I
Yeah.
don't like the texture of lotion. Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Or
oh
sanitizer.
wow, oh
So when
wow.
COVID was out, they're like, you want to sanitize your hands? I'm like, no,
Yeah,
nope, my hands are fine. I'll just go wash, use soap and water, whatever
yeah,
I need to do. But, it's funny because as we get into the cold season, my fingers they start to crack. And I was like, oh my
yes.
gosh, they're going to tell me I need lotion.
Can you put
So,
like oil on maybe or something? Like, is that something in your skin? Like, I'm not
mm-mm.
fond of lotion, but there's this one that I can use, and I find at nighttime I can have it on the best because it doesn't bother me as much. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, because my skin gets very dry and cracked because I'm an avid hand washer. There's another piece of useless trivia about me.
I feel like a ghost at some of these restaurants or, malls. Sometimes after going to the bathroom, I'll go and I'll put my hand because it's automatic. It doesn't work. Then I go to the next one. It doesn't work. And I'm like, then it'll come on for a second and go off. And people be standing next to me. And I was like, do you see this? Am I here?
Yeah,
And I just get so frustrated. And then I'm like, okay, well, the soap works. And I'm just like, and I'll try to get water and then just, no.
yeah,
And,
those sensors are very tricky and very sensitive. Sensitive,
there's,
not really, but it's how they're set up. And if
yeah.
it's like a stainless steel sink, it reflects. So then the sensor doesn't work as well. I used to be in the plumbing industry.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm used to getting those
Gotcha.
phone calls. My sensor's not working. And it was like, isn't it? It's
Oh
usually because it
man.
would
Yeah.
reflect off tile, also in a shower. So
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense. That
yeah.
does. So yeah.
I
I
guarantee
worked
you're
for
not a ghost. You're there.
I'm there. Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure. I mean, it's like if it's more than one location, it's just like, no, I always wash my hands. But
But
it was
sometimes it's
making
just
me
the way
feel bad.
well, of course, I can imagine. You're like, why is it never working for me? But sometimes it's just the way they've set it, and you kind of have to like move up, down, around. I hate when it's working and you're sitting there in your hands and you're rinsing, and then all of a sudden it stops. You're like, but I'm still here. And then you're doing that whole hand waving, trying all
Yeah.
over, up and
Uh,
down, side to side, move it forward, move it back, and
yeah.
you're like, come on, I was getting it. Why did it stop? Yeah.
I know, I know. Then I thought it was really weird because I was at Cheesecake Factory and I was going to the bathroom and there was nobody else in the bathroom. And I got out and the toilet flushed. And I was like, wait a minute, there's nobody else in here. And I'm looking like under the stall and I'm like, how did that go off? Like, is there
Yes.
somebody in here?
Sensor
I went
things.
back to
Yeah.
the table. Like, I don't know if I like this place. but, but it
Maybe there
was
was a
funny.
ghost in there. You don't know.
Yeah, definitely ghost stories. Yeah. So you're also a writer. And
Mhm.
what made you get into writing? Like, you're a publisher too. So how many books did you write?
Well, technically, I have I think it's like 28 books published.
Seriously?
But
You're gonna make me
yes,
work because I put all the
no,
books on my store page.
no, 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 no. So what it is, I have one out in the world that is free on most major retailers. Sometimes Amazon decides to charge for it. It was the very first book I put out, and it's a 17-page ebook called Solo Female Travel. And so it talks about how basically it's two articles I wrote for other people's websites, and I just
Okay.
put them together because it's the same topic. So I put them together and put out this ebook, and it's to encourage women. It's to show them that um, society tells us we're not capable of doing things, but we're way more capable than
Oh my
what
gosh. Do you know
society
how
is
much that
telling
sounds
us.
like Barbie?
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
you
that's
seen Barbie
right.
yet?
I have not. I went to watch it and then I the plans change. So I haven't seen it yet, but it is
You
on.
have
I
to
am
watch it,
watching
but
it.
this is
Yes.
scary. Our big mall here in Texas, one of the department store things shut down, but it's like all in front of the glass windows. Barbie. They're turning this huge thing into a Barbie department store
Oh,
for
wow.
girls to learn about themselves and how to
Oh, that's
become a
awesome.
woman. It is. It's very motivational, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta buy some pink sweats now. I've had three people tell me I look like Margot Robbie. I'm like, who? Because I never watched Harley Quinn. I didn't know who she was.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was like, I guess when my hair is blonde or maybe just a tiny bit, but I was like, oh, Rick, I can dress up and do parties. I'm a Barbie girl. But yeah, that sounds like, but taking those two companies and putting that together to empower, that's great.
Well, yeah, it's
So if
just filled
you're,
with different things that I've experienced, or stories of, well, not a whole story, but like other people. It's different things. Like, women have jobs, they have careers, they have families, they look after so many people, they raise kids, all while doing everything. They look after the house. So why are we thinking we're not capable? Like, why do we listen when people tell us we're not capable? Why? Like, look at what you're accomplished and do. I'm
Mhm.
a grown adult who pays all my bills, including a mortgage, and car payment and all of this. So why would I listen to somebody tell me I'm not capable? I take care of myself. I take care of all my bills. I have a full-time job, and what about people who are moms and wives and look after their parents? And it's like, look at how many people you are looking after. So why do you think you can't look after yourself somewhere else? Women, as from birth on, we are taught to protect ourselves because we are going to, we have to worry that somebody's going to attack us, that somebody's going to, assault us, there's always that in the back of our
Mhm.
head. Like, what is that somebody going to do to me? Like, or you have to watch your drink, like there's always
Yeah.
somebody we have to protect ourselves in everyday life. So you can still do that in another country. You have to be aware. You have to be a person who, I mean, I've seen people travel. Males have done this. It's not just, I'm not saying this happens only to females, but I've seen men who aren't aware of their surroundings. And I actually watched, I was like, I just passed this person one time. And just after I passed, I heard, my wallet's gone. And it was not me. But it's just, that's how easy it was to pickpocket this person because they had a
Yeah.
giant wallet in their back pocket. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, that's just saying,
I'm learning all this,
you know?
at this age 45 to be more protective of things like that. And
Yes.
then my car broke down when I went to karaoke, and this guy, I didn't know, oh, I can help you get it started. And then another guy came out and a girl came out. I didn't know the girl, but she made me realize that in life, you have to protect yourself in many different ways. But they were like, when they opened up the hood, they're like, oh, okay, where you put your cables, there's corroding. Do you have it like a screwdriver here or a knife? And I go, no. But the girl goes, and she undid her boot. She has a knife in there to
Oh, wow.
protect her from guys
Yeah.
trying to hurt her. And I was like, wow, I learned something new. I
Mhm.
mean, I would think, doesn't that hurt? Or is it a little side pocket thing that she had in her boot? And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, whatever. My car got fixed, and I was
Yeah.
able to get it home and then drop it off at the, place to get fixed. And I needed a new battery again. But still, it's just those little things of taking that knowledge and learning from it and moving
Hmm.
on. So,
Exactly.
but writing a book, it just seems, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. I told myself, like, hey, I'm getting a ghostwriter. And then when I listen and I say listen, because I'm an Audible girl, I gotta just hear it on Audible. There's something about holding a book again. And I don't know if it's because I felt forced in school to always have a book. Open your book to da 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 da, put your book cover on. It's just all that annoying stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I have actually, because I journal, that's a book, but
Mhm.
I've gotten some books and I'm starting to read the books and hold them. And I notice I'm sleeping with them. Wake up and go, have the book fall asleep right next to me. I guess I'm just reading and learning are out. So, but definitely, I mean, that's a lot of books. And I mean, how do you help
Well,
somebody who wants to write a book but doesn't even know where to start?
I will answer that. I will explain with the books that I have. So I unpublished one of my books that I put out because the second book I put out was like a dessert guidebook for downtown Vancouver here in
Okay.
Canada. And then it got a little outdated with all the changes recently happening with restaurants and stuff. So I unpublished it. But I want to write fiction. So while I've been trying to write fiction, I didn't want to stop creating. And
Yeah.
I couldn't write fiction and nonfiction at the same time. My brain's not doing that. So I just created a lot of like, I've got planners, I've got journals, I've got notebooks, I've got like a mental wellness workbook with journal. That one
Good.
isn't, yeah, I'm actually really proud of that
That
one.
one, that should be selling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's stuff that I did that helped me get over concussions and anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that. And it's just like baby steps at getting yourself
Yeah.
sorted and stuff and daily life and it's so it's not when I say that I have that many books, some of them are like they're what's considered low content. So it
Okay.
was a way to help me keep the practice of publishing and to still keep putting product out there and being creative while I was
Gotcha.
working on the fiction and struggling with that. I say struggling because I really am. But yeah, so how can um, what I usually work with coaches, and so what I say is use your first book should always be something that is related to your business because
Hmm.
it is a digital business card is really what it is, putting you in front of a brand new audience that you haven't been in front of. So, you can use content you've already created. You can, if you've got, for example, yourself podcasts, you can
Yeah.
get those transcribed and it would be different for you with your podcast because you have to have the guests also sign off to be allowed to be in your book,
Yeah.
but there's like a whole legal aspect of that part. But if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
somebody that is I always use this example as a health coach. You give a recipe book to your clients. Well,
Hmm.
use that recipe book because I actually helped somebody create a health coach create a wellness book. So we took the recipe book she had, and then she had, all she was a very prolific social media poster. So we took a lot of posts that she had, and you know, they're cute little blurbs that stand out, like one line things. You put it over a picture or something, right? Like it's just like
Yeah.
boom of info. And so there was those, there was she did a lot of workshops. So we took all the handouts that she had in those workshops. We took, all this content that she had previously created for so many different reasons. And we put it together into this to create a wellness book. And,
Hmm.
I think in the end, she just had to come up with a couple recipes and some journal prompts, I think it was, and then she had a whole book. And
Wow.
it made the process was still an effort because you're putting yourself out there in a way that you haven't done before. And you're going to have everybody's got little triggers, right? And whether it's
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to, my English isn't good enough, or I'm bad with punctuation, or oh my gosh, so many other people are going to see me now. And there people are going to judge me for putting out a book, or there's so many different triggers that you can have that's going to probably hold you back, right? Or this is overwhelming. Even if you're working with somebody, it's still,
Yeah.
you're still gonna have that. I don't know what I'm doing. It's overwhelming. So there's so many different things that can trigger you and put a little bit of a take your time kind of thing. So like I have a program and it's 3 months and it doesn't always take 3 months, but I have it spread out so much that when people do have these things come up, there's no panic. Like you can still have time to work through your stuff, and there's no panic to get to the end. And I also don't have a thing. If you don't get it up published, then you don't get it up published. Like it's the process is up to you, right? Like
Yeah.
we all have our timelines, we all have our processes, we all have our things, and I prefer to work with you as opposed to conform you to my standards or my way. You're not going to be creative if you're trying to conform to somebody else. So doing it
Gotcha.
the way that works for you. But the best way I find is something that is you can the idea is how is your reader going to benefit from reading your book, right? Like, so if it's something that you're helping them through, that is the best way because then they, which is why I work, when I say I work with with coaches is because they write a book and it's based on, like I said, content they've already created, but it's also how they help their clients. So then people who buy this book are like, they're going to see who you are, how you help your clients,
Yeah.
how you work, your
Yeah.
style. And they'll be like, "Oh wow, like maybe I'll follow this person now on social media and get a more of a feel for them." Or they'll be like, "Huh, I really want to work with this person. This is exactly what I've been looking for." So
Yeah.
you don't know how it'll help you, but it's a new way, it's a form of marketing yourself as a entrepreneur, as a business owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the number one thing that I always tell people is people get people always want to tell their story, and you should tell your story. I'm a big fan. You should always tell your story because if people
Yeah.
don't know of options, they don't know that they're not alone or that that things aren't happening to them because they're bad. It's happened That kind of thing happens to everybody, kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it helps people. But the thing is, memoirs are one of the hardest books to sell. Unless you have a giant following like Oprah or Britney Spears, you are probably not going to sell your memoir. So
Yeah.
the best way to do and share your story is create this kind of book that would help people, but put your story into it. So you explain how you went from this to this and how you help clients do this and
Yeah.
and you make the book interactive in a way that say you're a person who does, you give affirmations. So you tell a little story, you work it into how, you had a client that you helped with this thing or something like that, and then you're like, here's an affirmation, and how did you do this for every morning for 5 days? How did that make you feel? Like, did you notice a
Ex
change in this and that? So you bring the reader in and you make it their experience. Like, what is the reader going to get out of your book? It's not
Gotcha.
you writing a book for you, it's why is that reader going to buy your book, and what are they going to get
Hmm.
out of
I totally understand that. Yeah.
it?
And I'm
Hmm.
just like, I need to write 3 books.
Yeah.
Because I have a story in mind that I think that could actually be a movie one day. And I was just
Cool.
like, let the creative mind just go with that. And then, but the other things would be a health journey book, and then
Mhm.
more of a spiritual guiding and going through and, being the entrepreneur and opening your own companies. But,
Mhm.
it's very, I feel like I would have to go to the park with a journal. This is
Mhm.
what I want to write about. This is my timeline. This is how I'm going to do it and get it done. So, and then there's other times I think, well, just give me one of those like old voice recorders. This is what I'm going to say.
Those are
But
both good. You can use more than one way.
yeah.
I've like, for example, I have to type when I'm writing my fiction, I have to type
Uh-huh.
it. It has to be on my laptop. I can't do it anywhere else. It has to be on my laptop. But when I'm brainstorming ideas or trying to create, an arc or what's this, if I'm doing fiction, what's this chapter going to be about? Like, what's this little piece? Or if I'm writing nonfiction, and I'm trying to get my ideas together to figure out what this whole thing's going to be about, it's I have to do that pen and paper, but then
Yeah,
there's times where
exactly.
I'm driving and I'm like, boom, an idea comes in my head. So I'll use or I'm out walking or something and I'll use my phone and my voice memo. I was on a treadmill once and I was like talking into my voice memo with an idea that I had. you know?
Yeah.
So there are so many, you don't have to do it one way. And there are
Hmm.
so many ways. For some people, a specific way is how they're going to do it all the time. But for other
Exactly.
people like me, there's a whole bunch of different ways. And, that's what works for me.
Yeah,
Um, I always say there are so many different ways to do everything. You should always try and then find what's right for you. And what
exactly.
you don't have to do what other people do. You don't have to
Yeah.
do anything a certain way. You have to do what's right for you. And that's all that matters.
I think the other, maybe other people will say this too, is, oh, well, I'm such a perfectionist and I can picture myself writing the first sentence, oh, that sounds good. But the next day I look at it, why did I write that? Delete. I'm just going to be like, I don't want to be that person, but that's, I think, the fear I have of writing a book. So it's just those things of, I want it to sound perfect, but maybe you just go with the first round, send it to an editor, let them read it over and tell you.
Well, sort of. You've got that right. You
Oh, okay,
should
good.
never, you partly right. Yeah.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Just write,
Partly.
well, no, get everything out. There's like famous authors who will say, do not go back and read what you've written. Don't. Get everything out first and
Hmm.
complete it. Like I'm a person who has to go back. That's my process, but I also do not delete. It's a rule I have. I don't delete.
Okay.
I might cut and
Okay.
paste it into a different document, and then sometimes I'll put it back, and then I might reword the sentence to make it sound better. But I don't delete. It's a rule I have because you will,
Okay.
like you don't want to lose gold just because in that moment you didn't think it was gold, right? You
Yeah.
don't know what
Yeah.
you can reword things. But the other thing the one part I would have to say that's not quite right that you said is don't do the first draft and send it to an editor. You have to do way more self-editing first before you can send
Oh,
it
well,
because I
yeah, of
actually
course.
editors will if you so you want to do several versions yourself, right? Like, and you want to
Hmm.
make sure you've got, your words make sense, your sentences make sense, your story makes sense, your paragraph, whatever, everything makes sense, it's cohesive, and you check for errors. You check for grammar errors, you check for spelling errors, you check for
Hmm.
punctuation errors. There are programs, software you can help with that too, right? Because the thing is, when you get an editor, they might turn down the job if there's too many errors in your document you send them.
Oh
So
boy.
because
Yeah.
they get paid something like 0.00 something pennies per word, right? So they're not going to want to work crazy hard for that kind of, money, right?
Yeah.
That's my interpretation. But I do know of editors that have turned down jobs because there's just too many errors. So you want to do your due diligence and you want to make sure what you're sending to the editor is a good copy
Hmm.
and it's,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And then the editor, there's different versions of different types of editors. There's the editor that can help you make the whole story make sense. It's like a cohesive story and they'll help with plot holes or they'll, if it's nonfiction, they help make sure that the whole book flows properly and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay. Good.
And
Good,
yeah,
good,
and
good.
then there's the copy editors that go and make sure the right words are being used the right way and the spelling is the right thing and the grammar is the right way and punctuality. And then there's the very last type. There's something like seven different types of editors or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the last one would be the
Wow.
proofreader. And the proofreader would just be there looking for errors, right? Um,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be errors that still pop out in your final copy because errors are incredibly persistent, shockingly persistent. But the more
Yes.
eyes you get, the better. So you do want to, that's not why you do your due diligence in advance. And then you pay somebody to edit and make sure it's, you know, um, something somebody wants to read.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh, I still want a ghostwriter. Just like,
Well, that is always an option. Ghostwriters are out there to help people, but you also have
yeah,
to consider the fact that a ghostwriter is another expense.
it is.
And is it something that you feel you would make back? um, sort of thing. Like you put out one book, a lot of people think I'm going to write a memoir and I'm going to put it out and I'm going to become a millionaire. Sorry, but no, you're not.
Yeah, yeah,
First of all, again, like because I said about the memoirs, but also if you have one book out, it's very hard to get enough sales in one book if you're, the average human being and not
hmm
somebody famous. It's very hard to get one book and make a lot of money from.
I
You
bet.
you
Yeah,
have to put out there's a reason why, fiction authors have series because that's how you get people and you carry them through and they keep buying. So it's like a, process, right? And then
yeah.
I know a self-published indie author that I know that I read. Um, she said it was her sixth or eighth book that she put out where she
Mhm.
started making money. Like she started making good money.
Oh,
And,
that's because it was sixth or like eighth,
six or eight, something
because
like
they
that.
saw it
Yeah.
was a pattern.
So what it is
Yeah,
you there's some story, like because she's obviously a fiction writer, right? So there's some story that draws people in, and it could be whatever, because everybody's going to be drawn in for different reasons. But there's a story
yeah,
that draws somebody in, and they're going to love it so much that they now want to read your other books. So that's then they start buying the other books, right? So
yeah,
there
definitely.
are there are different ways to sell more books. And then like um if you I know of a lady who wrote a book about grieving through the death of I think she had the death of a child,
hmm
and she wrote a book about it. She ended up having it in funeral homes and hospitals, and that's how she sold hers. There was a free copy at the hospital, a free copy at the funeral home. So people who
Yeah,
with it saw it and were like, oh my gosh, and then would buy it. So
exactly.
it's always a market. You got to think like, what's the market for your book? And then have
Yeah.
a way to put it out there to hit that
Into
market.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. And I think, even with the podcast, as we talk to authors and everything, getting the word out about their books and stuff also
Mhm.
helps because, it's more like a YouTube commercial of that
Yes,
book. Why
exactly.
would you want to buy this? What makes it different than the others and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Now, before you decided to write these, I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking. I'm so sorry.
I know it's
Like
okay.
I'm
I've
doing
already
my
coughed.
podcast
So
from
yeah,
home.
it's fine.
But yeah, just going before there, you had to go through some stuff, like challenging stuff to get to where you were. Did you want to talk about any of that or how
I
you
had
did you find hope in, moving forward?
I did actually. It was I had about sorry, I'm gonna cough again. I apologize. I had a about 18-month time period where I had a lot of trauma. So it was not trauma like, like the big T trauma. It was well, kind of, but it was stuff that could have on its own be dealt with, but it just kept coming. So, I
Yeah.
started with the death of my father, and then a week later I was in a really bad car accident where I had such a bad concussion. I was off work for 4 months.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, I was in a dark room and quiet. It was awful. And and I was left with injuries, and then I went back to work, and so there was, I mean, it was so bad, like because it was a concussion that took forever to get better. So I think it was over a year I was still suffering. And, I pushed myself to just get back to my life, back to my life. And the
Mm-hmm.
more I pushed myself, the things kept happening, like, because, you got to go to work. So you drive to sit and commute, you get to work, you do your job, you come back in the commute. And by then my brain was ready to explode. And I was like, I couldn't even think anymore. And I opened up the fridge and a little 500 milliliter bottle of water fell out of the fridge, and the way it landed on my foot broke my foot. So it was like these little things,
I
like
don't mean
things.
to laugh at that.
No,
Yeah, it's
it's
the
it's
little things that
insane.
happen.
It's absolutely insane. And it just these little things just kept happening. And I had like 3 car accidents in 14 months, and it was people hitting me. So by the third one, I had panic attacks because I thought everybody was trying to kill me. I couldn't, I went to my doctor's office. I had a panic attack in there because there was too many people. I thought people were trying to kill me.
Oh
So
boy.
it became such a thing. And then from my childhood. Like we'd been friends our whole life. She died, and then um, just stuff was happening at work and there was all kinds of stuff. And one day I just like I couldn't take it anymore. And I'd been at that job for 13 and a half years and I was going on vacation and I think I was leaving on vacation on Wednesday and on the Friday I went into the office and I went, so this is my 2 weeks notice. So yeah. And that was just, I mean, I never expected something like that to happen and it did.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that must be fizzy
and
water.
it is fizzy water. Thank you. Yes. Um, And then, my naturopath passed away. We had an appointment and he had to reschedule because he wasn't feeling well. And 2 weeks later, he had passed away from cancer, and a
Oh,
couple of months
wow.
after that, I had just seen my doctor like a few weeks before and went to make another appointment with her for some reason. And um, the phone was disconnected. She had closed her practice unexpectedly because she had cancer. And so it was just a lot. And it was really pulling me down. Like I had problems getting out of bed. Like I didn't,
Yeah.
so I started writing. That's what I did. I was like, I'm going to start a website where I share information. And because I
Yeah.
was telling you earlier, I really love information. I love absorbing it, right? And so
Yeah.
I wanted to share. And so it was really good because I started with, subscription boxes because they made me happy. And I would get
Yep.
all these neat little things and makeup and fun things to have. And I started, writing about that. And then I would go and try a bakery. I'd be like, because when you're working all the time, work was my job, like was what I right before that first accident, I was working over 40 hours a week and I was taking two nighttime classes. So I was all about being busy. And then
Yeah.
I wasn't at all. And so it was a
Yeah.
lot to deal with. And
Yeah.
because of that, I didn't really go out and do things because I was so busy trying to achieve things, right? And so decided to start looking up bakeries and I would go and get like a treat at the bakery or a hot chocolate because I call myself a hot chocolate connoisseur. And then I would write about it on my website. So that got me up doing things. It got me out of the house. So
Mm-hmm.
it helped me heal, really. Um,
Yeah.
then I ended up going on a trip and to Australia, New Zealand, and I, visited with a bunch of friends, and that got me out doing more there too because I wrote about it. And so writing really helped me heal, it helped me get back into life. And it
Yeah.
helped me realize that what wasn't working for me before, that whole busy, that whole achieving. Every time I tried to get back into it, stuff would happen. And I was like, right, I really need to start listening. And this is not the route for me,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
caused me to take a little bit more of um, a different outlook in life. It's not about achieving.
With my last job too, and then I was doing podcasts on the side and everything. But the minute like I put like on podcasts looking for guests, it exploded. Like I was like,
Mm,
okay, I got this. But
yeah,
I turned it into a business module. Like
that's cool.
I'm a photographer also. So like my clients are like, oh, can I see the picture? Like, do you have a sneak peek? And I
Yeah,
feel like in podcast world, maybe I'll hear that too. Oh, I want to see the video right away. So I make
yeah.
it a promise to my guests now that, like, as soon as the podcast is over, you will get your audio, your video. If you're okay with posting it, it's going to be right away, you know? Like, I want to
Okay.
give them all this information and then a sound bite because there's nothing like the waiting game.
Hmm. Yes.
That's just really, really hard. But, I've turned it into that so it can move a little bit faster. Like I was doing my full-time job and then this, and then my son had football, and
Mm,
then I had to make me time. I was like,
yes.
even if it's like for 3 hours out of the night, go do karaoke. You love singing, release that energy. It's
That's
just,
and that's the important thing. And that's what
yeah,
when we're so busy being busy
I
and
know,
we're doing what we think we're supposed to do, we forget about our own happiness. And
I
our
know.
happiness doesn't necessarily mean you have to go on vacation every month. It can just, it can be
Hmm.
something so simple like I hot chocolate connoisseur. So I like to go find new places to try their hot chocolate. That brings me joy. It's so small, and
I
but
drink
it's
hot chocolate every day.
nice. Yes. I definitely don't do it every day. I try at least once a week. Um,
Once a week.
yeah,
Too much
but
sugar.
yeah, exactly. And then even then I'm like, can I if it's one of my regular places, I'll be like, can I just get that half sweet, please? You know, a little less chocolate. Because I like I'm getting to the point where I can taste now, hmm, no, this is powder or this is real chocolate, you know.
Yes.
So I like the real chocolate ones myself. So there's, chocolate I want to call them cafes almost. Like they make chocolates,
Hmm.
but they also have like, serve stuff. Those are my favorite to go get hot chocolates because they really put a lot into their chocolate, right?
Yeah.
But there's some places out there that are they don't they really they we have some local coffee shops here and they
Yeah.
use real chocolate for their hot chocolate. They don't,
Good.
yeah, and and there's bakeries that'll do the same thing. Like to them it's the quality of the product they're putting out. So they might not be a chocolate place, but to them they want to have everything taste
They
amazing
want
to
to have
consumers,
everything,
right?
and it's about branding and
Yeah.
looking at the details. Like,
Hmm.
okay, we're gonna make hot chocolate, but we're gonna do it this way so people
Yeah.
do come back. They're gonna
Yeah.
love it.
And
Like, I
there's
know.
this I'm sorry.
Okay. No, no, no. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell you about also here in Vancouver, there's this I think I want to say vegan, but I don't want to throw that out just in case it's not right. But there's a chocolate shop, and it's just small, but they do insane flavors of hot chocolate. I can't tell you everything. I went there once, and I was like, oh wow, there's so many to choose from. I don't even know what to do. There's not just one hot chocolate. There's not just dark milk or white. There's so many flavors. I was so excited. And I picked one, and what I remember from it, it had tomato in it. And
What?
I can't tell you the other stuff that was in it.
Nasty.
I can't even remember what else was in it. But I was like, huh, well, this is my new thing for the week. I'm going to try this random weird hot chocolate, right? And all the flavors blended so well. It wasn't until you drank it and then you're like, oh, there's a little tomato. Like you couldn't even tell
Ew.
when you were drinking. You could not tell when you were drinking it. We have a hot chocolate festival that runs from mid-January to mid-February here
Okay,
in
I'm
Vancouver.
coming there. I'm coming
Yes.
there. Because
And
at
we'll just like
my last
flavors.
two jobs, they were always like, she loves hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I even got a gift, and it was a gift basket of hot chocolate and
Oh,
chocolate. I'm like, oh my
nice.
gosh. I was like, no, I'm not having
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna have to give that away. But what was it? Every morning we had a crew egg, and there was hot chocolate. And I'd be like, okay, we need more hot chocolate. They're like, we just bought a box.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 weeks. We need more hot chocolate. So everybody just started putting signs up at hot chocolate this. And then I thought it was funny because this last job, they already had a wooden plank for Christmas. It's like hot chocolate, blah, blah, blah. And they put it right on my desk. I was like,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just, the whole caffeine and stuff. And you're talking about concussions. They're the worst because
they're not fun. No.
no, 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 no. Yeah, they're not fun. And they were like, you could have this for 2 to 3 days or months. And it's like, well, which one is it? But there's no braining of bleeding in the brain. So not much to worry. But then it's like, I keep getting these headaches that are not fun and feel like migraines, stiff neck,
But
and
yeah. The other thing is, your neck, if you got injured with your neck, that will impact how long the concussion lasts. Like you might want to check out if like a chiropractor or a massage or, ask your doctor, is there anything wrong with my neck? Go to physiotherapy, that kind of thing, because that will impact your symptoms that you're having for your
yeah.
concussion also.
I
But
think I got to go
concussions are,
back to a chiropractor for sure because they're the only ones right now that really see what's happening. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm not big on chiropractors cracking my neck, so that is something I don't like. But I have a physiotherapist who does she does manipulation, but it's like an osteo type, so it's like very gentle. You don't even know your stuff is moving, and it's letting your body basically move it. She just kind of guides
Mm.
it. So because that's what I don't like about chiropractor. It's just kind of
Well,
quick
I'm
and
scared of them now
oh,
too. I'm probably not going to go because I have nerve damage and it goes
mm,
all through my left side. It goes my left arm, my fingers, my legs, my
oh
toes,
no.
and it's painful. It's really,
Yes.
really bad. I got diagnosed for the leg part down into the foot, neuralgia parathecikia. So I
Oh wow.
actually they put a stimulator in my back,
Wow.
and I don't have anything good to say about this simulator right now. I'm still in pain, honestly. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, it worked at trial base, and then insurance said, okay, let's put it in her. But it's been like 8 months now, and I'm still crying in bed. I
Yeah.
if that tells you anything. It's like, okay, well, am I gonna, it's one of those things. Do I stop living life or do I move forward? Of course, I'm gonna move forward. Am I still gonna go out there and dance, even though it's gonna hurt me so bad the next day and that evening? Yeah, I'm gonna do that because it's a moment. I did a second chance prom and I was like, oh my gosh. And I told my date, he was very understanding. I go, there are times I just need to stop, maybe like 3 or 4 songs. Then I would go and sit for that break and another song would come on. I go, I know this one. And I was up and I was like, oh my gosh. But I remember the next day I was like, I can't walk.
Well, and that's the thing is you have to find that balance of still
Uh-huh.
enjoying what you want, but
Yeah.
not crushing your body.
Yep.
So, like you could still do the dancing, but like you said, maybe dance one and then sit out two, and then dance
Yeah.
one and sit out
Yeah.
two, that kind of thing, so that you're not, it's a hard thing to come to grips for when you're a person that keeps going, going, going. And
Yeah.
it's one of the things I've had to learn with all my concussions is that you have to live your life so that you enjoy it and you're getting joy and you're still living your life, but you don't have to have a recovery day or two or three
Yeah.
afterwards, where
Yeah.
you can't move, the pain is so intense, or like with my injuries, I always thought, you got to push yourself. And it's not that. You can still
Yeah.
do things in a different way, and then
Yeah.
you get to still enjoy it, but you're not hurting yourself. It's something
See,
so simple like cleaning. And this one got me because I was told we tested how long before I felt the exhausted or the pain doing a repetitive movement. And I think
uh-huh.
I was able to do 30 seconds. And so it was like something so simple like clean the toilet, like I'm just going to use this as an example. So I had to get a stool to sit down on to clean the toilet.
Oh, wow.
And then I used the brush in the bowl and I did that. I was only allowed to do 30 seconds, then I had to rest for a minute. And then I could do 30
Yeah.
and rest. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. This is going to take too much time. This is awful. Like, blah, 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 blah. I had so many excuses. I did it, and then I didn't hurt. And I didn't have to have, a day or two of recovery just from cleaning my home. And I didn't hurt so much after doing that cleaning that I couldn't do anything
Yeah.
else for the rest of the day. Like I got that cleaning done and then I was able to still do things for the rest of my day. So there
Yeah.
are ways to to do things and you don't have to give it up. You just might have to alter it a bit until you are doing better, or your pain management is different, or like all these different things, right? Like for me, I don't need to do that anymore to clean the toilet. It helped me
Yeah.
get through when the pain was the worst. And now the pain isn't as bad, so I don't need to do
Yeah. Yeah,
that.
definitely. But like I've had to learn because my thing, I have symptoms of MS and I'm kind of scared, but we're finding a new neurologist for me right now. But like I was at church because I'm losing feeling in my hands. And I noticed as a photographer, I was doing a photo shoot, but I have it on a harness. But when I hold it up and take the picture, my hand got so weak and hurt. And I take this
Okay.
hand and I slap it, like, come back to life. What's wrong with you? I'm in denial of what's going on with losing this feeling. And it's like, okay, but what I remember at church, I was getting coffee and I was just putting the lid on it, but my hand shook. And it was just something I
Mm,
noticed that it spilled everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? No, 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 no. And then when I worked at Macy's as the bridal consultant, I had to do heavy training and all the crystals and everything.
right.
And I'm so sad. My favorite Waterford candy dish that is discontinued,
Oh,
I broke because my
oh,
hands gave out. So I was like, okay, I'm coming to terms. I noticed when I was doing storage cleaning, my legs gave out and I almost
mm,
fell forward. And then when I fell and hit my head against the wall and got this stupid concussion, I was like, okay, there's too many things like that is going on. They're testing me for TIAs because I felt like I got sucker punched. My eye was droopy, my mouth is droopy, my mouth is shaky.
wow.
I can't feel my left side. And it's like, I'm just like a broken girl.
Yes.
I'm just like everywhere I go. Yeah, we don't know how to fix you. Bye. Next.
Yeah.
Just
Well, and
like
I've been through
oh,
that.
it's
Mm.
like Alexa, what's wrong with me? We'll go to the doctor.
Yeah, I just kept going on. It's interesting because I know I told you earlier that I had cut out sugar from going to, that I had all these
Yeah.
weird little things that were happening and the doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong. And so I did go to a naturopath and he, cut out sugar and my health started changing. But it's interesting that that happened a few years before I had my 18 months of trauma. So it was almost like
Yeah.
my body was trying to say, your lifestyle needs to change, and I wasn't ready for that. And then
Uh-huh.
unfortunately more stuff happened. But it's amazing when you can I'm not saying, lifestyle and diet is going to fix anything that's wrong with you, but I can tell you as somebody who went through a concussion, eating well, not drinking anything but water, it was so much easier to deal with. Yeah. It was so much easier to deal with the pain than
Hmm.
when I had a concussion and I was eating bad and I was eating sugar and I was drinking pop.
I
And
know.
it's not that it's whatever you are wanting to do, right? Like for me, I wanted to make those changes so that to me it was easier dealing with the other stuff
Yeah.
with those changes. But that's such a huge lifestyle change to change your diet, to change how you do things,
It is.
that
And
it
I'm
seems
taking,
overwhelming.
I'm gonna take some steps. I'm going to a meetup group for
Oh,
keto
okay.
diet.
Oh, yeah.
I have no interest in it, and the person I'm going with, he he doesn't want to start it either, but he's a nutritionist guy, which I'm totally different. I'm totally opposite from this person, like 100%. And it's just like
Mm.
last night when I went out to dinner with them, they were talking about eating healthy, and I'm gonna just share this with the listeners, but they're like, yeah, we're eating like carrots and blah 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 blah. And I just have this image, and I was like downing Fun Dip sugar in. I was like,
Also, Fun Dip's
they
good.
were talking about how bad sugar was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I should say I had asparagus when I get, and I don't even eat asparagus.
Oh,
I'm
asparagus.
just really like
If
really,
you roast it in the oven with butter and salt, and I will eat almost everything if it's been roasted in the oven with
see,
butter and
I can
salt.
do broccoli, I can do spinach, sometimes I can do corn, but I've always hated peas.
Oh yeah, I
And
don't
I
eat peas.
feel like I was like forced as a child to eat peas, or it was a bean, but there were really pea pods. And oh, it's just a bean. And I was like, no, it tastes peas, mom.
Yes. I don't like the texture of peas. I don't like peas
Hate
at
them.
all. I have a friend that we've been friends since we were 6 years old. And one of
Hmm.
her stories that she tells, she still remembers this. And I laugh because I remember, but it happened to me. We were in brownie camp when we were little.
Okay.
And She remembers because they served peas one night at dinner, and I don't like peas. So there was this
Uh-huh.
thing at Johnny Camp that if you put your elbows on the table, they would make you walk around all the tables and everybody would sing this song. And she remembers the song. I don't, because I don't remember singing it, but it was something to basically to embarrass the person for putting their elbows on the table, right? It's like an etiquette
Oh
thing.
my goodness. I'm here taking my
I
elbow down.
I know,
I
I
was like,
did
I'm
too.
gonna get in trouble.
This is why she probably remembers how to sing the song because I didn't want to eat my peas, so I just kept putting my elbows on the table. And they had to sing it so many times that everybody was done eating, and they finally just said, "Just leave your peas and go," because I would just keep putting my elbows on the table.
Yes, I would too.
She remembers the song probably because she had to sing it so much because of me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a vegetarian and I don't like peas. I will eat
I
them if
just
in things, but I do not like peas.
and like
Yeah.
I never told my mom the real reason, like why I don't like peas, but I think it smells like somebody got sick. And the
Oh
taste,
yeah.
and like you're just eating that over. It's like, ugh, no, I don't want that. But it's so funny because, back in the dating world, things you didn't eat, you wanted to impress and cook for the person you left. Oh, and then if you're with your parents, they're like, she doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm just honest. Ew, no,
Yes.
yuck.
Yes. I've never been a person, I've always been that, yeah, I'm not, that's not, no, I'm not gonna do it.
See, I'm not
I'm pretty
even that
vocal.
much of a shrimp person, but there is something about Bubba Gump's restaurant. The
Mm,
shrimp Alfredo is just to die for. And
that's
that's the
okay.
only place I will eat shrimp. And I was like, I really just need to get to the beach again. I need that fish in me.
I could do with the beach. I'm not gonna eat the fish, but I could definitely do with a beach trip.
Yeah, the beach trip. I just want to listen to the waves, not so
Yes.
much go in the water because yeah, as I got older, I got a little frightened of what's really in the water. And I'll go
Okay.
to Galveston if I go because you can't see in the water.
Oh no, really? Ew.
And I've never had a problem there, but still, like I was in Galveston and my ex was like, "Oh, you know where the rock cliffy things end?" He wanted to go out that far. And I'm like, "No, I don't want to." "Oh, come on." And you could feel the current. And I'm like, "No." And I finally remember when I was heading back with my son from being out that far, this lady was standing there. "Did you guys see what was next to you? There it goes again." And it was a fin. And I'm like,
Oh
that has to be
no.
a dolphin. That has to be a dolphin. Just tell yourself it's a dolphin. Like, that's all I could think of. And I've watched that movie Open Water like 10 or 15 times in my
Mm.
life. So I'm just like, no, I don't ever want to be in the ocean.
Yeah,
So
don't.
I just want to hear the waves. That's it.
Yes.
Have my feet in the sand and get sunburned to a crisp. So but yeah. But yeah, I mean, everything that you've been through, looking back at this full conversation with you, you know, being an author of the books that you put out, the ones I can find, I'm going to put on to our
Yeah.
list because you said not everything is out, but like the ones, will you send me also, Tara,
I'll
and
send
I'll
you,
put
you
it
know
up.
what? I'll send you the links for the 17-page ebook, Solo Female
Yeah.
Travel. And I'll send you the link for the mental wellness workbook with journal. Those are like
Okay.
two. I might even send you like so I've got a planner out. It's the only planner I've got, and it's for romance readers. So it's, if you're like a
No.
fan of romance books and movies and all that, it helps you plan when's this release coming out? How did you like it? It's like journaling about and if you like podcasts, and all this stuff for romance. And yeah, it's all about romance. It's actually, I think that's the
Okay,
title, all
that
about
is so
romance.
that is so cool because I
Yeah.
was just at Barnes and Noble walking around. I was like, I know they have these journals like relationship or getting to know somebody like in a like you answer a question, when you work on it together, that's what I was looking for, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find it. But that's cool. I want
Yeah.
homework
So
to do. I want
it's
knowledge and something fun, interactive.
yeah, and
So
it's a planner, so it's got dates and that kind of stuff in the back, but it's undated. Sorry, it's got dates. It's not dated. So it can be used at any time at start and finish.
Yeah.
But there's like a separate section for Christmas romance. There's a separate section
Oh,
for Valentine's romance. So, like movies, the Hallmark movies that come out and the any books that are coming out that if you read romance and
you're
yeah,
gonna
it's
have to add
definitely a romance
Halloween in
thing.
there. There's
Um,
more people
I
like
don't think I
in
did.
the wedding industry, they're renting
Yeah.
out haunted houses to get married in.
Really? That's a
Hmm.
really cool thing. Huh.
Hmm.
That's
I wouldn't
neat.
do it, but oh well.
I mean,
Just
I know that there's people that, Halloween is their favorite holiday, right?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
a cool idea. Yeah.
It's different.
There's
Yeah,
not a lot of
so
romance that's released at Halloween, so I didn't make a separate Halloween section.
yeah,
But
you
there's,
got
I
work to
think
do.
there's like the different seasons, like spring, summer, fall, winter,
Hmm.
but there's just because Valentine and Christmas have such an over abundance of
Yeah.
romance that's released at that time.
And New
Those
Year's Eve. There's something about New Year's
Mm,
Eve, you know. A lot of people will get engaged probably this New Year's Eve because
mm,
it's right around the corner and stuff, and
yes.
they kiss. And I even think my stepsister, she got married on New Year's Eve, I believe. Yeah, it was New
Oh,
Year's
okay.
Eve. So, but yeah, so they're going to be celebrating. I think they've been married 4 or 5 years now, maybe
Oh,
even longer.
wow.
I don't even know. I'm not keeping track, but it's all about those dates. And I think they were talking about what is it? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Isn't that, wait, I know there was something, is
Oh,
it, it's
that's
this
the
year.
December 31st is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, December 31st this year. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. There's probably going to be some people thinking it's all lucky and
It's all
celebrating and
lucky, and
getting
there's going to be
married
a
or
lot of
engaged
engagements and
and
new
yes.
weddings this year.
Yes.
Yeah, so. And they can come and book me if you're in the Dallas area. I still do
Excellent.
photography.
Excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show and
Thank you
everything.
for having
I
me.
will
I had
definitely
fun.
get those links up for the people watching and promote that because
Thank
I know
you.
I'm going to be buying that journal from you. So that's like a must do already. And I want to also really quick thank you to all the sponsors I have for Keep Hope Alive podcast. As we mentioned, we have lifeonrecord.com, your interactive guest book. We also have Bridal Shows Inc. They are based in Dallas, Fort Worth area in Texas. So they host about maybe 5 trade shows out of the year where you can meet the different vendors, get their pricing, and book your events with them. Then we have Miles and Smiles Events, Miss Deborah Rose, and that's milesandSmilesEvents.com. Sorry about that. But Deborah Rose, her background is investigation, but she does handwriting analysis and lipstick readings, and she's 100% accurate. She makes any event a lot of fun. So you got to check her out. We also have Bryce Harney, and that would be www.bricemagic.com. He is traveling all over the United States right now doing his magic shows, and he's a mind mentalist reader, and he's super good. So check out his website. We have richmondpunch.net next, graduated from the Juilliard Arts. He's a violinist. He's performed in front of millions of people before, had 2 spots on Lifetime shows to play and stuff like that, but he is amazing. And then we have another big sponsor, TK Hair Salon. They do all your hair coloring needs, haircuts, man cut, kids cut. They are located in Plano, Texas. You can find them on Facebook. And I'm going to say right now because it is a right now thing. So TK Hair Salon, call, ask for Tina. Say Nadine sent you. They're going to work their magic on you too. So, but other than that, if you have any questions at all about this podcast, you can call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. Leave a message for us. We'll get that answered for you. And then also on the website, I have a little leave a message thing. It's so cute. You can leave a 30-second message. Let us know what you want to hear on the show and everything, and we'll go with that as well. But wherever you find your podcast, you'll be able to find Keep Hope Alive. But until next time, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We will see you next time. Love and light. And bye. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Thanks. Bye bye.